Hi everyone, welcome to Oddcast Movies, Music and Gaming. It's me, Sam. How you doing? I'm pretty good. And here with me is dreadful Dan G. Hi Dan.
Hi Sam, and hi Odd Squad. Hope you all had a very happy Halloween.
Yes, I also hope you had a happy Halloween. And I hope you had a happy Halloween listening to us talking about Halloween.
Yeah.
Dan, no, what are we doing today, just out of interest? What are we talking about today?
Guess what? We loved Halloween so much that we just thought, to hell with it. Let's do Halloween 2. But then we said, no. Way too obvious. This is the Oddcast here. So we went to Halloween 3. So today, nice little delve into a cinematic classic, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Let's have a listen.
You don't really know much about Halloween. Halloween, the barriers will be down between the real and the unreal. And the dead might be looking in. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red. Halloween, the children.
You happen to know anything about this Cochran?
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
Trick or treat.
Hey, Mr. Cochran, just what is the final process?
Fellas, I was just kidding.
Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment.
Hey!
Where are they taking her?
They're taking her to the factory.
Giving away a bit too much of the story there.
High drama, though. High drama. Top line, I think what people need to know here is Halloween 3 bears no direct relation to the characters or events of any of the other Halloween movies. It's a complete standalone film. That's the reason why we felt we could do this out of sequence, I think.
Well, also, we're being the Oddcast, we only do odd numbers. So.
Yeah, so if this goes well, we're going to do Halloween 5, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Just your initial thoughts. Did you like the film?
So I had seen it years and years ago, and I remember liking it more then than I did this time around. Actually, I think it was. I enjoyed the kind of stupid silliness of it back then, and I still kind of enjoy that now.
Yeah.
But as I was watching it, I was like I'm asking questions I didn't ask when I was younger. Like, what's the point? Like, and things like that. Like, I must have given it a very wide berth when I was younger. But yeah, as I was sitting, I think especially since we'd just seen Halloween and also Halloween 2 as well. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know. Like, I was kind of excited, I think, like watching this again and thinking, yeah, I remember this being all right, actually. Like, and I like, kind of standalone things and whatever. But yeah, I remember this time watching it and just being, it looks like cheap to me as well.
Okay.
I think it's part of it. Some of the bits look all right, but generally speaking, like, I don't know, it just looks like such a fucking B movie, but it wasn't really. Like, they still spent some money on it. And also I just realized, like, first time round, the hero, I know we'll get onto this. The hero I was kind of like backing, but this time I was just like, God, he's just so nothing. Like, the whole thing is just nothing. And I just kept, and I also remember thinking, just hurry up and get to the like Cochran guy, the bad guy. And he doesn't really come in till like halfway through the movie or something. And in my head, he was throughout the whole thing.
Right.
I don't know. So it's things like that. So
okay.
Yeah, it's had a bit of a cult following though, right? Like, people still rate it. What do you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. I had seen it. I'd forgotten I'd seen it, but it must be a long time ago because I only got a very vague recollection. I think I enjoyed some of the kind of like motifs and visuals. I like that it doesn't try to do another slasher. This is kind of like more of a, rather than scary, it's kind of creepy. It's got a bit more of a kind of almost like a sci-fi angle going on.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And I suppose in that regard, yeah, if you kind of view it as a B movie, and forget it's got the title Halloween 3, you could kind of enjoy it as a bit of a campy, bonkers kind of sci-fi mishmash, a bit like a film like Phantasm, things like that, where there's just like loads of bonkers stuff happening and some zany characters. Although, like you say, the kind of like protagonists are a bit drab,
A bit lame. Yeah.
but yeah, overall I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good fun. But yeah, when you kind of look at kind of plot holes and motivations and things, like you said, there's a bit of a kind of just why is any of this happening? Why should I care?
Yeah, exactly. I know we're going to it, but like there was things that happened, like when he throws all the pins, all the labels down into like that shitty like science thing. And I remember, like, at first I just kind of went with it, and then I totally forgot about it. And as I was watching, I was going, "This is the worst plan. Like, how did he know that would even work or happen?" You know what I mean? There's just weird decisions, and I also in my head, the first time I watched it, at the end because the girlfriend attacks him, I remember it being freakier. This time I was laughing the whole time because it was like, you know, when like Sideshow Bob, the Simpsons reference, steps on those rakes or whatever, and every it felt like that, but with Pong, like
Pong.
Yeah, exactly. But with him, like, it was like everywhere he turned, it was like, oh, I'm getting attacked again. And it happened like it happened. I was like, because at one point we're going to it, but like at one point I was thinking it can't happen again. It can't seriously happen again. And then like it happened again. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so stupid.
I think part of the problem is that probably since the first time I saw the film, I've been exposed to so many other sci-fi horror B movies, and there's just too many tropes in here that are recognizable. So the impact's diminished, but even so, like I said, I thought it was a fun kind of hodgepodge of sci-fi and horror stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It's there's a lot of different things in there, a bit too much, some may say. So yeah, talk me through it. Yeah, do it. I want to hear more about this film. I know bits and pieces. Actually, we did touch a bit on it on the first Halloween. The fact that it was, what's his name, Tommy Lee Williams. Is that his name? Who directed it?
Tommy Lee Wallace.
Sorry. That's right. And he was the art director for Halloween. This is his feature. This is his first one, I think.
Yeah. So how cool is that? I think that's great. He was obviously like an underling under the Carpenter banner of success, and he's been given an opportunity here to
take the reins.
Exactly. So, I mean, just first off, the film came out 22nd of October 1982.
Not that long after 2 then.
When was 2?
2 was 80, maybe 2 was 81. Yeah, so it's only 2 years, really. It's not crazy amount of time.
So this was the beginning of, I suppose, thinking off the success of 2 that they could actually build this into a long-term franchise. So it's produced again by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter. So the concept here, I think they felt they'd done everything they could do with the Jason. Michael
Myers.
Fucking hell.
Yep. Done everything they could do with Jason. He was the runner.
There's still plenty of traction for Jason. Still plenty of gas in the tank.
Oh, fucking hell! Don't.
That's a whole other.
How much further can he go? He's gone through space, time. He's not going to be time traveling. Space and time.
So they wanted to move on from Michael, that story, and they had the idea they could build Halloween into a regular kind of like annual movie-going event, I suppose. You think it's Halloween, I'm going to go and see a Halloween film, and it's going to explore different aspects of the season. So I thought that's quite a cool concept,
Yeah,
the idea
cool
they build
concept.
that as like a kind of brand almost, and become like maybe a tradition every year. You think it's Halloween, going to go to the cinema and see the new Halloween film, and you get a different
Exactly.
spook every year.
Be part of the Halloween cinematic universe. That's what everyone's trying to do now.
Unfortunately, didn't come to pass because the film it did not do as well as was hoped. Apparently, the budget was $2.5 million.
Okay.
And it did
Nice chunk of
14.4 at the box office.
Okay, so it's still a success in that, right?
Yeah.
Commercial success in a way. Not as we were saying, like the first Halloween was made for like, what was it, 300,000, and it made 70 million or
70,
something.
Wow.
So it's the biggest until Blair Witch. It was the biggest, most profitable independent film. So I imagine if they've gone from 70, I don't know how much Halloween 2 took, and it's kind of dropped to 14.4. Still a decent chunk of change, but I imagine they're probably thinking they wanted a bit more.
I mean, it'd be okay
dropped.
if it was an indie, right? But this was the De Laurentiis company, I think. So apparently as well, so that's why Tommy Lee Wallace actually gets the credit for writing the script. Apparently initially they approached Patrick Neal. I don't know if that's a name that you're familiar with.
An author, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, kind of an author. I suppose so. He wrote, not Patrick Neal, apologies, Nigel Neal.
I don't know. No, I don't know this.
He's a Brit. He wrote the Quatermass stuff. Have you ever seen the Quatermass films?
Yes. Well, I've only seen them. I've only seen one of them.
Which one?
Where it's, I think it's literally the Quatermass experiment or whatever. The one where they dug out something. Is that the first one? Okay, that's the only one I've seen.
The guy's got a gnarly arm. Remember that?
I can't remember. No, I don't remember an arm. I just remember it's a lot of talking, and it's all like underneath a theatre or something in the middle of London. I don't know, maybe.
Towards the end, they chase this thing to a church, a big glob, and zap it. Anyway, it's considered a bit of classic British sci-fi. So he's respected. He was approached to write the script for this film. He did turn in a script, which he said was kind of like, a bit more sci-fi angled, and low on blood and guts and gore. And apparently, Dino De Laurentiis said, "We need more gore."
Okay.
So at that point, it went to Tommy Lee Wallace to rewrite the script, basically.
Right.
And Neil apparently just said, "Take my name off it."
Yeah. Okay. Classic.
So
didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how much of the original script survives in what we saw. Because, like I said, there is that kind of a bit of a sci-fi angle, although it's kind of also some kind of like ghost and goblin kind of stuff going on as well.
Yeah. I've no idea. Yeah, if it's a guy who did Quatermass stuff, then I can imagine. Yeah, it's more about tone and being creepy, which I think still kind of comes. I mean, I'm imagining that there must have been elements of the main plot was probably similar to what actually happened, and it does feel like creepy. It's still like a creepy tone about it.
Yeah.
Which I quite like. So I imagine that's probably what he brought to the table.
Apparently, he said the main story had to do with deception, psychological shocks rather than physical ones.
Okay.
So that was the original intent. I think some of that survived. But so Tommy Lee Wallace, basically, that's how he got his sole writer's credit. The masks were produced by Don Post, which have you ever heard of this company?
No.
I think they must be
Don
like a big...
Post.
Yeah, Don Post.
Mafia Don. Okay.
Yeah.
Don Post, you make these masks. That's it's probably can't talk like that now. I don't know. That's my Italian accent, which is probably too stereotypical.
Should have brought that out on the Sopranos episode.
That's true. Yeah, sure.
They're apparently like a big American company. I think they produced the first kind of like mass-produced latex rubber masks for Halloween.
Right.
So
they're an actual mask company.
Yeah. So
Right.
the Michael Myers mask, that, as we discussed, was based on a William Shatner. That William Shatner mask was produced by Don Post Company.
Oh, that's so weird. Well, it's probably not weird. They've done it on purpose, but to keep that continuity for absolutely no real reason. Okay.
Well, I assume they were the biggest and probably like the best name in the biz. So they approached them to say, we want 3 creepy masks for this film that can be iconic. And they said obviously they didn't have that big a budget, so I think what they did was they gave them a bit of the merchandising rights. So Don Post Company were like, yeah, we could see this could become a cult item, or maybe people want to buy the masks to like wear it to screenings and things like this. I had a little look. I was curious. I thought, God, I bet if anyone's got any of those. Apparently, they retailed initially for $25 a piece, which is quite expensive, I think, in 1982.
Yeah, back then as well. Yeah, it's expensive now.
I looked on eBay. I can't find any original 80s ones, but someone's got a full set of Don Post 2012 reproductions, and they want $1,000.
Fuck off. That's mad.
Yeah.
Okay. Good on them. If you can get it, why not?
But I did think, like I said, I like kind of some of the motifs of this film and like some of the aesthetic, and I thought that the design of these masks was really cool. What did you think about them?
Good masks. Yeah. I liked them. Yeah, I remember thinking, because what was it? It was obviously the pumpkin one. It was some kind of like zombie monster.
It's like a witch.
Oh, it's a witch thing. What was the other one?
It's meant to be a witch. Skull.
Oh yeah, skull, of course. I thought they looked really good, actually. I remember looking at it going, to be honest, weirdly, the pumpkin one is the worst one. I'd probably say it's most boring, but it definitely feels like as they're looking and playing with it, I'm like, that looks like a high quality mask.
I do like a good high quality mask.
Yeah, you can see there's a texture to it, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's ironic that you say that's the worst, because that was the only one they made especially commissioned for this film. The other 2 were just adaptions of regular masks that they already produced.
Already had. Okay, fine. Well, all right, never mind.
But obviously the masks are absolutely central to the story and the concept here. So I think getting them right and having them look cool was yeah. Sorry, it's all right. He passed away.
Apologies to the Don. Oh, okay, he's dead.
He won't hear what you've got to say. Disparage his mask.
Yeah, he's got snakes coming out of his mouth now. Cool.
The music, as usual, Alan Howarth with John Carpenter. Apparently, they said they wanted to make it like even more synth-driven than the previous 2 Halloween films.
Well, they did that. Success there. What did you think of the music?
I liked it, and I've actually been listening to the soundtrack on Spotify today, just in the background while I was working. Yeah.
It was, I remember really liking it first time round, because I remember it being it's quite drony, but there's always like some kind of like wee or whatever, like over the whole thing. By the end, when I was watching, I think that whole final sequence of when he's like, about to set fire to the thing and all that, I was like, this is droning on for a bit too long, and it kind of grated a little bit by that point, which annoyed me slightly. But I was thinking, it reminded me of the bit, and it's one of my favorite bits actually in movies, but there's a bit in Interstellar, which is done by Hans Zimmer, where like there's a lot of space stuff, and there's a lot of these like, it's just these like long synth kind of chords that are kind of elongated, and they kind of get louder, and maybe some bits are added to it or whatever. And I was listening going, it kind of feels like that on a much smaller, less epic scale. Like it feels like it's kind of building and the tension or whatever and all this stuff. And it's weirdly quite nice to listen to, I guess. And it's also like, it's got the nice little there's some actual melodies and stuff in there every now and then that's kind of interjected within these kind of drony kind of sounds. And I still quite enjoyed it, but I think this time round yeah, it did start to grate by the end. But yeah, I'd be interested in actually listening to what that sounds like, because a lot of people I know it's actually quite popular in terms of the soundtrack, because I think Mondo did a release. You're probably going to come onto that later, but yeah, I know
Naturally.
it's fairly popular in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a bit more like ambient, like you say, droney, and it doesn't have any like major kind of like memorable hooks, I don't think. Which is why actually later on in the film, pivotal kind of scene, they do bring back the traditional Halloween theme, don't they? Just once. It kind of signals things are hotting up now. Something's going to happen. Yeah, I think
vaguely remember.
Yeah,
maybe there was something. Okay, cool.
I think it's when he's about to kind of like the main character's about to go into hero mode.
Right,
stop everything. Yeah.
Okay,
of course, the main, like the most memorable piece of music in this film, which you then can never forget again, is the TV advertisement jingle that gets played about 1 billion times over the course of this film.
Yeah. What do you mean? Do you mean this?
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking.
Let's get rid of that.
I'm glad you had that lined up and I didn't have to sing it.
You can still sing it. Yeah, it was. Oh, sorry, I was about to sneeze, but I didn't. It was infuriating by the end. I have to say.
That's the point, though, isn't it? I quite like that about it. You can easily believe this being a mind control mantra.
It's because it doesn't sound right. Like the harmonies and the vocals and all this, like they're trying to make it like a bit creepy and weird. Like the whole thing just sounds off. And it's the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down as well. Yeah, so it's quite easily memorable.
Yeah, recognisable kids song, but just distorted slightly to make it a little bit alien and creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're coming to just like main characters and cast here before we kind of get into the story. So we've got, like you said, our chief protagonist, Dr. Dan Chalice, played by Tom Atkins. Like you said, he maybe wasn't the hero for the ages that we've all come to deserve.
Yeah. What had he done before this? I know he's in. She was, yeah. I know he'd done Escape from New York, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anything else he'd done or has done since.
Well, he's one of those I mean, it's a very distinctive face, and it's a recognisable face. He's just one of those guys where you're like, he's around. Let me reel off a few films. He's in The Fog.
He's so regular.
Like you said, Escape from New York, Creep Show.
I don't remember him in Creep Show.
Lethal Weapon, apparently. Maniac Cop. Two Evil Eyes. He's acting still up till this day.
Okay, good on him.
So he's had a good long career, I think, in kind of like horror and thriller.
Yeah.
So he's. Okay. I thought he did quite well with a not all that exciting character. Yeah,
he's just not got. He was just, I don't know, did he do that well? I thought he was quite boring. But then, as you said, like, I don't think it was written particularly well either. One thing I always thought was that when I watched it first time, I thought he was married and still married, and he was just cheating on his wife.
That's what I thought as well. They do establish that they're separated or divorced. I can't remember which. They do establish that, but for some reason that passed me by. So when he got down to business in his B&B, or his motel, sorry.
B&B.
Not in
so fucking British. A B&B. Like someone's house. Aunt Mildred's B&B. Yeah. A motel, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's a bit out of order. I'm not sure I'm really feeling this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, when I was rewatching it, I was like, I remembered, I was like, hold on, isn't he? Oh wait, were they? Oh, I think they're separated actually, but I still wasn't 100% clear. But yeah, it's quite funny. I thought I was so sure for ages. Obviously, for the first time I watched it, that he was just cheating on his wife, and that's our hero.
No,
just fucking this girl, but not just like she gets like dressed up for him or whatever. Like it becomes like a proper strange, very short-lived affair.
Well, the girl that you're talking about there is the character Ellie Grimbridge, played by Stacey Nelkin, who's the daughter of a character who's killed quite early on in the film. And the mission becomes basically for her to find out what happened to her father. So she hooks up with Dr. Dan, who had treated him in his dying moments and has heard a secret. So yeah, they've gone off. And like you say, within less than 24 hours, they're bunking up together in the motel. And he's like, oh, shall I sleep on the floor? And she's like, where do you want to sleep? And he's like, well, that's a stupid question.
Does he say that? Exactly that?
Something, yeah. Well, paraphrasing. I think that's what he said. It could be. And then, like you say, she's got all this like scandalous nightwear, negligee and everything.
Yeah, she's just brought with her.
Just ready to go.
Yeah, that bit, again, it's like, there's all these like weird bits, which made sense before. And watching it again, I'm just like, where has this come from? Like, apart from the fact that like, they need to get it on. Like, he needs a love interest. There needs to be some kind of relationship going on here. But you're just like, it felt a bit like advantageous, because the whole point is that her dad's just died. You're the doctor. I don't really know, like, why is he even helping her anyway, really?
It's just
like, I know it's like, oh, it's just
adventure.
Exactly. He's just like gone with the mystery.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll leave. Yeah, don't worry about my like ex-wife, or at that point, I thought actual wife and kids. Like, fuck them. I'm just going to go with this woman and just see what happened to her dad randomly. Like, the man's got a job. He's a doctor. Just fucking pissing off to do whatever.
Someone's in theatre while this is all going on, waiting for their heart transplant. Just, where's Dr. Dan?
Exactly.
Can't get hold of him on his pager. So, I mean, yeah, it is a bit awkward and uncomfortable. And there's obviously a big age gap, and there's obviously a big hotness gap as well. So it doesn't really quite wash. Like, this guy, he's got a face like a tombstone. It's got a big slab of meat, actually, with a mustache. And she's fairly attractive. So
she is attractive, yes.
The other main character is Connell Cochran, performed by Dan O'Herlihy. Connell Cochran is our villain, a man of Irish descent, and a very successful businessman who owns the Silver Shamrock company, which seems to be the chief producer of Halloween novelty items across the whole of the United States of America. You'll notice that Dan O'Herlihy is an Irish name.
Yeah.
So he was actually born in Ireland, this actor, but he doesn't bring his Irish accent to the role, does he?
No. Well, that's what confused me a little bit, because there's one point where the big exposition dump, and he talks about, funny enough, what we were talking about in the last episode about whether it's called Samhain or something like that, the boogeyman, essentially, like this Celtic thing that Michael Myers is based on, whatever. And that becomes the motive, basically, weirdly. Some kind of sacrifice and bringing him back or something. I don't know, whatever it is. But he's like talks about, oh, my Celtic roots and doing whatever. And I'm like, he's just like British, isn't he? Like, he's just got like, I don't remember thinking he has an Irish accent, like, whatsoever.
No.
Like, does he sound Irish to Americans then? Because it did not strike me as Irish. It might have been a very subtle. Keep in mind, Dan. You know, where are your people from? Because I've got Irish roots.
Yeah.
And so I like to think I can. I can't actually. I don't think I can. I haven't tried.
But that's
Irish accent. Oh, Oh, Papa Jesus.
See, that's so right. So this is, I think, why it was quite good actually that he avoided hamming it up with an Irish accent, because it would have been like that and it would have been awful.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. It would have been weird. I like the idea that he's like a bit of a posho. You know, like that Southern English kind of dry thing. But I don't remember thinking, he's fucking Irish. Irish. No. What's that? That's more Northern Ireland, is it? No.
I don't know
Northern
what that
Ireland.
is.
I don't know what that is
That's
now.
Liverpudlian.
Liverpudlians. Liverpool. But that's it. They all sound similar because it's depending on the accent.
It's evolved from Irish.
Close.
Evolved from Irish. I mean. A lot of Irish in Liverpool, isn't there? Anyway, we're getting into the British dialects, which is not on the agenda for this podcast. Did you recognise Dan O'Herlihy?
I recognised his face, yes. I have absolutely no idea what he's from. I was wondering if he's like from a Murder, She Wrote or something like that. I don't know. Has he been in stuff I would have seen? He did look familiar, but I've absolutely no idea why.
I was going to say, I think all these actors probably had a stint on Murder, She Wrote at some point. Stacey Nelkin definitely did. She only did a few films, but she was on stuff like that and The A-Team and Chips and all that kind of thing.
Right. Nice.
Mr. Dan O'Herlihy played Andrew Packard in Twin Peaks.
Oh my god!
Which is quite a similar role, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Which one was Andrew Packard? Because I know the Packard name, because that's quite synonymous, isn't it, with Twin Peaks? Which one was Andrew Packard then?
He owns the sawmill, and there's that whole story about the get the sawmill off him. And he's a bit
fucking
aloof, and there's something villainous about him. But he's also very demure. And he plays an almost identical character as well in RoboCop.
He's in RoboCop? Later. Who's in RoboCop?
Again, I think if you think about like some of the early scenes when they're in like the boardroom.
Yeah.
I think he's like the big boss guy that they're all trying to impress.
Oh, he's the big boss. Because you've got like that's right. Yeah. You've got the there's no good guys, but as in you've got what's his name, who's also from Twin Peaks, funny enough, isn't he? Who's our man who's designed RoboCop, and then you've got the other one who has designed the robot big killer thing, and that's right. They're all trying to impress the big boss, who must be this guy.
Yeah, I presume they cast him because they were like, he's already done such a great job of being a horrible, like, evil corporate American CEO.
Yeah.
And they just brought him in basically the same role. So, should we get into what happens here and exactly what the hell Mr. Cochrane is trying to do?
Yeah, I wish someone could. That would be useful. Let's do it.
Try and bring some rationale and meaning to the events that unfold over the course of this film.
Yeah, I think we need it. Should we take a bit of a break?
Let's do it.
We're back.
Welcome
Dan,
back.
What happens in this film?
What happens
what the hell happens?
Well, the first thing that happens is, and I really liked the opening of this film, you get this kind of like static as if a TV is being turned on.
Mm.
And I just thought this was great because obviously the film then goes on to be about a big American corporate company trying to control people, especially children, through the television. Yeah. So it's just a nice framing device here of like, you turn it on, you've got that creepy TV static and everything. And it really made me think of another later John Carpenter film, Prince of Darkness.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, where that static and those video messages coming into your brain.
Yeah.
Coming into the guy's brain. Yeah.
So it did make me think, this isn't directed by Carpenter. This is, as we said, Tommy Lee Wallace, but I was like, I can see the fingerprints of Carpenter on this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But essentially, the first few scenes, first sort of 10 minutes, are taken up with a chap. He's being pursued doggedly. He manages to get to like a junkyard.
Yeah.
And this guy's going to
Kinda
kill him. He
hides.
manages to like flip a switch and like a car crushes him or something. But basically, he can only get by for so long. Another one of these guys comes along, very well dressed, very methodically moving.
Yeah, they look like weirdly like FBI agents or something.
Yes,
that just suits very well kept. Yeah,
smart and sinister. Essentially, he's wounded, but manages to, I think, get to a shop, and that guy brings him into the hospital.
It's a petrol station, isn't it?
Yes,
gas station.
That's right. A gas station that we will see again later in the film. So yeah, basically, this guy, he's babbling on when he gets in, like, stop them! They're gonna do
Kill
us all in,
or something like that. Yeah, do us all in.
Yeah. I think the thing that really gets him agitated is he sees it on the screen, is this advert playing. I think we've already heard it once or twice already by this point in the film.
Yeah,
just the jingle that we played earlier.
True, yes. And also you'll notice that I think it's at this point, there's a news bulletin about a stone's gone missing in Stonehenge. And that comes into play later. But I remember I didn't notice that first time around. But when I said it, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I
didn't notice that either. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's right at the beginning. I'm pretty sure. I think that's what he's watching before the guy comes in.
That's good. There's a little bit of effort to tie in that bizarre plot twist.
Weird storyline. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so he's obviously agitated about this advert. 8 more days to Halloween. Silver Shamrock. So Silver Shamrock want all the kids to buy these 3 masks: the skull, the jack-o'-lantern, and the witch. And basically, yeah, he says all this stuff. They're like, give him some morphine, or that kind of dismissive tone that they take. Unfortunately, later that evening, one of these guys comes back.
He's in a hospital,
him.
by the way. I don't think you've established he's been taken to the hospital.
Good point. Yes. So they come and they murder him in the hospital by poking their fingers into his eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's such a weird way to do it. Like, he's just kind of sitting there, like, letting it happen almost. Like, oh. As it just gets pushed into his eyes. Yeah. And that bit, to get to this point, I was like, God, I feel like this has gone on a bit already. But you also, like, this is where we see our hero, right? And he's like, I remember thinking, like, they're trying to make him like a bit of a ladies' man, like a bit of a charmer, like with the nurses and all this stuff. I'm thinking, you won't get away with stuff like that these days. Talking to, slapping their bums and all this stuff. I was like, oh, here we go. Can't do that. But he's during that time, that would have been seen as, a bit of a charmer, a bit of a character,
a bit of a lad.
Yeah.
So that is Dr. Dan. He basically takes chase, doesn't he? Because there's a nurse screaming.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, he chases the guy outside, and then there's one of my favorite bits.
Go on.
Which is where the guy just sits in the bloody sits in the thing, and then
car.
In the car, sorry, and douses himself with petrol, but in the most stupid way.
How does he do it?
Sets himself alight. He's got the petrol can. He's just like, but just plain face, like.
How should a man douse himself in petrol?
I don't know, but I know, like, he's supposed to be. There's a reason why he kind of looks so, like, placid as it's happening. But it just looks silly. It just looks ridiculous. He's like as if he's not reacting to it,
There's
like
no
whatsoever.
emotion. No emotion.
Yeah, which I know is part of it, but it just looked at that point. I was just like, this just looks stupid. Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like he douses himself, sets himself alight, he's on fire, he blows up, the car blows up, whatever, and all that takes about 3 seconds. So it's so instantaneous. It reminds me of Halloween 2. Do you remember the bit where they think they see Michael Myers?
No.
Oh, it's probably my favorite bit in that whole movie. So I know we're going back a little bit, but there's that bit in Halloween 2 where it's just happened. Like the whole events of Halloween have just happened, and they're running away. Donald Pleasance's running around. And it's like there he is, and it's a guy who looks exactly like Michael Myers, even the same mask. And I remember thinking, looking back on it, going, but that wasn't like, was that a thing? Like, why is he dressed exactly the same as Michael Myers when this is happening the same night? And anyway, like the guy like kind of sees him running towards him and like runs off, but you're presuming it's not Michael Myers because he looks a bit scared. And then as he's running, he basically runs into the road. He gets hit by a car that basically pins him to a van, and then everything explodes. He's just this burning corpse. But it all happens so quickly. It's absolutely. If you see it on YouTube, it's fucking stupid.
Because if you,
but it's so funny because immediately you're like, huh? Well, they needed him to burn.
If you've tried to burn
sure.
a dead body, it actually is bloody hard and it takes a long time.
Well, it didn't in Halloween 2. But yeah, and that's why they're like, oh, he's all burned up. I don't know if it's Mike Myers. We have to go by the teeth or whatever. And then that's why they're like not as urgently trying to find him because they're thinking, oh, we've already killed him. He's dead. But it's so funny how quickly that happens. You have to check it out. But yeah, it reminds me of that, like the whole thing of like, there's that another Simpsons reference, but where like just things bump into each other and they just explode. That kind of movie magic. It feels like that with this.
Well, this was movie magic because it was a wonderful explosion. It was very, very exciting.
It was quite exciting.
It had you on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh my god, this guy doesn't care.
But also, I don't.
He was on a suicide mission.
Like, yeah, it's like what a weird way. I don't know, like why bother? I suppose he's destroying the evidence, but he's not exactly been caught. He's just been, he's just running away from Dr. Dan. It's not like, there's 100 people after him or something. I don't know, it's a bit weird.
I think Dr. Dan's involvement was inconsequential. I think this was this guy's mission. That's my take on it.
To kill himself afterwards. But it never happens again. Why would he?
Why would he?
Yeah.
Well, we'll come to that later. Keep that in the back of your mind, and I will reveal all secrets of Halloween 3.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But it does go. This is quite exciting because you're like, what did that guy know that they had to kill him, and it was so important that this guy would then go and stealth immolate.
And you're seeing this mask as well. Like he's been clinging onto this mask, and the guy that's dead and all this. So
yes,
yeah, it's the mask has got something to do with it.
Mr. Grimbridge, Harry Grimbridge was his name. That poor man. Anyhow, then we kind of get, I think, some scenes with Dr. Dan and his family, home life for Dr. Dan. He turns up with a crap mask, well, a couple of masks for his kids.
Yeah, the cheap plastic ones.
And they're like, pfft. I think one's like a princess and one's a unicorn. I can't remember.
Right.
They're like, they blow off their dad. They're just like, we've got a witch and a skull mask. Thank you very much. The mom got us. And then they sit down in front of the TV and they're watching this advert again, this bloody jingle.
Yeah.
Then the next kind of major thing that happens is there's the autopsy on the dad, and this is where we meet Ellie Grimbridge for the first time.
Yeah.
I thought she could have been a bit more emotional.
Yeah, she's a bit like, oh god, oh.
She's like, yeah, God, that is
she's
him.
over it pretty quick. Yeah.
Yep, that's him. Looks a bit crispier.
She does not say that.
He's definitely got less eyes than the last time I saw him.
That was the one thing with my dad. He had such beautiful eyes. You could really look into it. Oh, where's his eyes?
Yeah,
there was two things that really meant a lot to him. His eyes.
She's so blasé, but
yeah.
I don't know. This is where basically she gets together with Dr. Dan. Dr. Dan's look, you got to know, before he died, he was saying all this stuff, and I think foul play is involved. And that's kind of when she's like, well, something's going on, and I'm going to investigate, because he went off to the Silver Shamrock factory to pick up stock, because it turns out he's like a shopkeeper or something.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad. Yeah, good. You're keeping me on tabs with it, because I must have missed the fact that he was picking up stock, because I was always thinking, why the fuck was he even there in the first place? But now that makes sense. Okay, cool, great, nice, thank you.
So then, like you said, Dr. Dan, just a curious man. He's got a nose for adventure.
And a nose for women, and he likes this woman, clearly. So he's just going to follow her because he's got fuck all else for to do.
There is a little bit of that. It's kind of like, well, your kids think you're
why
lame.
else would he?
It's just like, I've got nothing else to do.
But that's what I mean. There's no it hasn't been established that he's like this. There was nothing. He just kind of upped and went. Like, what else is it going to be? He doesn't give any reasoning to why he should probably stay and look after his kids or something. Especially with Halloween coming up. Anyway,
off they go. Like we said, to the motel. Some funny little town. It's basically like an all Irish community.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, everyone there. It's all very rural. They're like, it's like everyone. They drive into the town. Everyone's looking through peeping around the curtains at them. So it's kind of a little bit eerie. But they go to the motel. They see that the father had stayed there. They see his name in the visitor book. And they meet a couple of inconsequential characters that some quite horrible things are going to happen to.
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point, really, it's a little bit of this is kind of just like some character development and dialogue and chemistry between our two leads.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next kind of as we said, there's the hanky-panky that goes on, but the really consequential thing that happens here is one character who is a sales rep is tinkering in her bed at night with one of the masks, Silver Shamrock masks, and she finds that in the Silver Shamrock badge that's kind of on the back of all of these things, there's a little chip, little microchip.
Microchip, yeah, not like a fish and chip.
She I'm just going to move on from that. I mean, this is what I like, right? Because this is so bizarre and it makes no sense, but that's what I like about this film. It kind of fires a blue laser into her face.
Yeah, this is my main thing going on, so please explain it to me. I want to hear it.
Okay. There's a chip in the badge.
A microchip.
On the mask. And
I know that.
When she fiddles with it, it shoots a blue laser into her face.
Yes.
Next time we see her, it's pretty grisly, actually. I like this.
This is great. This is the best looking bit.
Her face has been... It's hard to say. It's not like it's been fried electrically. It's almost like someone's ripped her mouth apart with the end of a hammer, and her eyes.
Yes.
It looks really brutal and gruesome.
Yeah, it's like they've ripped her mouth open, so you're still seeing the teeth and all this stuff, and they've like fucked with her eyes, and she's still like alive, like moving, like ooh, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't she's not dead?
No, exactly. That is possibly one of the most horrible moments of the film. Very well done, I thought.
It is, yeah, for sure.
And then, to make matters worse, this really gross, great big kind of cockroach type thing crawls out of her mouth.
Yeah, so let's kind of delve into this a little bit. So the chip, and I know we'll kind of get onto like what sets it off and all this stuff. Spoiler, it's the commercials that are running, but so it sets off a little blue laser.
Yeah.
That does what exactly? Because as we see later, it kind of just lets bugs. It kind of, I don't know, like bugs just come out of nowhere.
Well,
like,
let's get
what's
to
it actually
that.
doing? What is it? Okay,
let's get to that later scene,
later.
and then we can have a discussion about what actually is happening here.
Yeah, but let's remember that because there's a blue laser. Her face is suddenly fucked up in some weird way, which we don't understand, and a bug is crawling out of her mouth from this blue laser, which we don't really know what it did.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Next major kind of plot point is in response to this. So our two heroes are bonking away next door.
Yeah, I hear it.
And they're like, "What was that?" They're shocked and horrified.
He says, "Keep in mind," he says, "Who cares?" I thought that's great.
I forgot that. Yeah, that was good.
Who cares?
To be fair, he's literally
insider. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, they're very concerned, but some people turn up in an ambulance. They're taking her away. It's like, he's going, "I'm a doctor. I want to know what's going on. What's going to happen with this woman?" They're like, "Don't worry about it. We're taking her to the factory." So everyone in this town basically, is obsessed with the factory. And they're like, but she'll be looked after there. She'll get the best treatment. Mr. Cochrane will see to it, and then the next thing we know, there he is finally. So we see Mr. Cochrane for the first time. It's kind of sinister air about him, but he's like, "Yeah, she'll get the best treatment. Don't you worry about it." And then they overhear someone saying to him, "It misfired."
Yeah.
There was a
misfire.
We
should also say that where does he meet the bum? Is this before or after this?
Before, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so he has this little conversation with the bum, and the bum's like, basically like, "Oh, they're watching us." So there's loads of cameras just around in the town, and there's a curfew as well. Like people have to get inside by a certain time, which people have to follow. So there's a general vibe of weirdness kind of going on in this town, and the bum actually gets killed by the people in suits.
Yeah, because he's disparaging, isn't he?
They? Yeah, he's like,
he
"Oh,
kind
whatever,
of says, well, he says, they would never give me a job here."
Yeah. He brought
and
all
then
these
he's kind of
people
like,
in. Whatever.
"There's weird stuff going on, and I'm going to take them all down." And the response is, 10 minutes later, he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, head ripped off, if I remember right.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, strange modus operandi. It's a bit excessive.
Oh,
There's a big spurt as well. Yeah, why not?
If you can
why not have a bit of fun?
Yeah, why not? Try it out.
I liked all this. I like all building up this creepy vibe. It's very Children of the Corn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just liked all this. So I think the next kind of thing that happens is the next day, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And they go to the factory.
Mm.
At this point, they've met this family who are quite good fun. They're quite memorable. They're kind of like a bit brash. You've got basically they're like the best sales people, or like the best retailer in the country for the masks.
He sold the most masks out of anyone else in the country or whatever. And it's kind of like a National Lampoon kind of family.
Yeah. So it's the guy, his wife, and their boy.
Their boy, who's a bit of a dick, to be honest. Billy.
10-year-old boy, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
They all seem a bit annoying.
Yeah, that's their kind of thing. They're like a bit like the comic relief in an annoying way.
Yeah. They're a bit like horrible children in like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where you're like...
Yeah, one of those families.
Yeah. You're like, they're being set up for something, for a fall.
Yeah. Well, it's very Willy Wonka what's about to happen, so yeah.
Yeah, well, this is it. So we go into the factory. And there's a bit of a tour, whatnot. They're trying to find out information about her dad, and they confirm that he was there and took a case of stock.
Yeah,
and then they're walking around, and she sees her dad's car.
Yeah, they're taking a tour. Well, hold on. They're not just walking around. Cochrane is giving them a tour, and he's being all like charming and all this stuff. He's kind of answering the questions they have and all this. And the only reason they got on the tour was because the family were like, "I'd like my friends to come," and he's like, "Oh, sure, okay, fine." And going around, and as they're walking around, they start seeing all the people in suits. But it's quite cool, these shots, because they're all like just standing there in very strange positions, like not moving. Or not even blinking, it looks like. There's like one just in between like two lorries or something. There's one like just a little bit in a doorway, just kind of standing there motionless or whatever. And he's like, "This is weird." And then he's talking about the final process or whatever. Like, what's the final process? Like, "Oh, we can't show you that. You're not allowed to go in there, you naughty, naughty man." But he's being all like, he's on the charm offensive. And then they see the car, and she's like, "My dad's car," and he's like, "Oh no, it's not. It's, stay away, whatever." But then they're pretty much like, it's guaranteed now that like something's up.
Yeah, and this is when you think, oh, they've overplayed their hand. You're like, now it's known that they know, and you're like, now they're in danger.
Yeah.
But they do go back to their motel. And it's kind of like, we should leave tonight.
Yeah, we need to get out of here.
And they're getting ready to leave, and then that's it. They strike. These goons come in. I think they take her. That's
right.
They kind of attack him.
He goes to try and... That's right, yeah. He tries to call someone or something like that. And by the time he's got back, she's gone, if I remember rightly.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a side kind of angle going on here with there's someone back at the hospital who's doing analysis on the ashes from the car explosion, and she's kind of like the whole time she's going, I think someone's covered this up because there's like plastic and metal, but there's nothing of like human origin.
Like, there's
in
no
here.
Human stuff. It's like it's all just like stuff from the car. It's all like plastic and metal and shit like that.
Yeah.
That comes into play later, weirdly, but yeah.
So I can't remember now really what happens. I think we're basically into like kind of the final run of the film, really, aren't we? Where
the end game.
They've been taken. Weirdly, there's like a bit of a fight in the factory again between Dr. Dan and like a cyborgy man. And this is where we find out what they are, because he kind of kills him somehow. I think he like kind of like forces his fist into his stomach.
Yeah, something like that. I can't quite remember. Yeah,
and all this like it looks like yellow bile comes out.
Stuff. Yeah,
but it's kind of like, I suppose it could be some kind of like petrol. I don't know, petroleum jelly.
I don't think you're supposed to know really what it is. Yeah, it's just stuff.
Gunk. It basically tells you that he's not human. At which point,
you can figure out already.
Yeah. This is when Cochrane kind of comes out and's like, "Yes, I made them all myself, and they look very human."
Yeah, well, she goes. Yeah, well, there's that cool bit. So he goes into like a room, and there's this old woman knitting.
Oh,
like, Where is she? Where is she? and then he like grabs her, and her head basically comes off. Her hands are still going. He sees that it's all like clockwork, and that's what I quite liked. Is like with all these things, it's like all, even though there's an element of like whether that disgusting stuff is, they've made it look like mechanical, like it's old school kind of like wind up toys or something like that. And there's one point earlier where like when they're taking him round, they mention how Cochrane, like his whole thing is like practical jokes, and like it's like his family have done it or whatever, and it's all like it's all this weird kind of like he's made his money off these weird practical jokes and products and stuff like that, which is just a bit, again, is a bit strange. I don't really know. I need to have like more of a think about what relevance that really has. But yeah, all these things are like mechanical, which are quite cool. So yeah,
well, he reveals
he's got robots basically.
Yeah, well, he reveals himself a little bit here because he's very upset that old woman automaton was broken, because it's kind of like an old like Victorian. You see, they're called
like
automata, aren't they? When
yeah,
they would make these clockwork, sort of make them as humanly realistic as possible, and they're quite creepy. This reminded me of. Have you seen Tourist Trap?
No, don't think so.
You should see that. I think you might quite like it. It's yeah, I won't go into too much detail, but there are similar kind of robotic
old film.
beings. It's a 70s slasher.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of a Texas Chainsaw vibe.
Okay, great.
But yeah, I suppose it kind of shows that he's enthusiastic about this kind of thing, because he's got also another little collection of like old wind-up toys, and so he's a guy that's kind of like built up an obsession about that, and that's led him to create these amazingly realistic mechanical men who basically serve his whims.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that guy that covered himself in petrol and blew himself up, he's probably just been told, go and make sure you kill this guy that escaped from the factory with our secrets. And when you've done so, just blow yourself up.
Yeah, but why not just go back? That's what I'm saying. It's like, why is he suddenly like scared of being caught by this random guy? Anyway, yeah.
I don't think he's scared. I think he's been told that's his mission.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'm just saying, bit of a waste.
I know, it must take a lot to make one mechanical goon.
Yeah.
A lot of time and effort and money. But this guy at this point is kind of like, he's a megalomaniacal villain with endless financial resources, and he's completely mad, loopy, it seems.
Yeah, well, he's insane because he tells like, I can't remember, where does he? No, this is where he shows him round the final thing or whatever, and then he's like, look at this. He brings him into this room, right, and that's where you see the Stonehenge thing, and this set just looks cheap as fuck. What was weird is that I've only ever driven past Stonehenge. Weirdly, I've never actually been to it, but I believe the stones are no way that big. Like they've made it that it's like they need like a platform, like these huge like monolithic structures, and I'm like, yeah, Stonehenge is big. It's not that big. It's not as big as they've got it here. Like that's like
maybe not
in the film. It's like a 4-story house or something like that. Something crazy. But yeah, it's no way as big as that. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, you say it.
Well, before we get to that, I think he doesn't quite go through and unveil the plan yet. He puts on a little demonstration. And this is probably my favourite part of the film. He has arranged for that unfortunate family that we met earlier to come to a meeting. They think they're going to be asked about
the commercial or something.
Advertising and
check
PR.
Out the commercial.
Yeah. I'd love to get your opinion on our new marketing. So they're locked in this room, and then everyone's just watching them on these screens. they give one of these masks to the little boy. He's sitting in front of the TV, and the advert plays. And this is basically, you see something's happening to him under the mask. Like, he's not having a good time.
He's trying to tear it off, yeah.
Yeah. And then he's kind of like falls to the floor. And then his head starts kind of like crumpling in. This is quite shocking, I thought. It's quite disgusting, especially because it's like a young kid. And then all of these little insects start pouring out of his head.
Yeah, a whole bunch of insects.
And the mother's screaming, and she like faints.
But it's still in the mask, so you can't really see what's going on inside. You're just seeing all this shit kind of come out. Yeah.
Yeah, you've just seen his head's kind of collapsing as more of this crap comes out. All these insects, and then then snakes, and a bloody whole rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like, visually, that is cool. And then I can't remember what happens to the dad. Doesn't the snake kill him?
Snake bites him. Yeah, basically it kills them. The animals and the snakes and stuff kill them, and then they're just all dead.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But then this is it. Like I was just like, what does it do? Like, it's so weird. It just like opens. It's like a laser. I mean, we kind of find out a bit more later, but that it's like, I don't know. Like, is it some weird portal thing or something like that? Or is it just like, it's just like manifesting evil, which are these bugs and snakes and stuff? I don't know.
Well, yeah, he unveils shortly after this what the whole scheme is. So let's just talk about that, and then we can theorize about how it works. The nuts and bolts in particulars.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, he is of Irish descent, and he seems to want to beckon in a new era. He's like, our people used to have to live with the real Halloween, not this fake commercial Halloween. The reality of being one with the land and dealing with the evil spirits and sprites, etc. So it's like he's a bit bitter. But he does also say, look, not my fault, guys, because this is just the way it's got to be, because the moon is in the such and such hemisphere. So now this is the time. This is the time for basically a new era, a new dawning. And essentially he's crazy because he just wants to bring about chaos and evil, and for there to be a new order established, which is classic kind of like mad, deluded supervillain kind of behavior.
Yeah, well, he says like, he wants to get the sacrifices started again, and because like we haven't done a sacrifice in a while, we're going to just sacrifice loads of people, and hopefully like all that blood will basically bring in these ancient Samhain or whatever, things, and that the world will go right again or something like that by these sacrifices happening. It's all a bit weird, but he does it with Stonehenge. They're chipping away at these bits of the stone, and he's like, oh, there's something in it, even one particle, you put it in here and it does all this stuff. It's like, it's magical, it's magic stone. You're like, okay, I don't know, that's just like an added element where it's like, why do you need that supernatural kind of part of it? And also, like, Stonehenge is in England. It's not in Ireland. So
this is
a different country.
Yeah, this is maybe a touch too absurd. Again, I kind of quite enjoyed it for being just like throwing an extra element of wild hokum into the mixer, but
right.
Yeah, basically he wants to do all this by the advert will transmit the signal to the chip that is in every single mask.
Yes.
And the chip contains one particle of a slab from Stonehenge.
Yeah.
And so It's great, actually, because you've got mysticism, the supernatural, and science all coming together beautifully in one watertight plan that cannot fail.
Yeah. Well, this is it. And he's saying about how, 9 o'clock, get ready for the big giveaway at 9 o'clock, whatever. And then, but the thing is, it's like
nice
all over
montage.
the country.
Yeah, there's a nice sequence here. I thought this was quite nicely done, actually. I enjoyed this. Just seeing kids all over the country kind of skipping about, getting ready for Halloween, including Dr. Dan's children.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
He does try to call and say, God, for God's sake, Janine, don't let them wear those masks.
Yeah,
and I think
that's when he escapes.
She's like, you're just jealous because they thought your masks were shit.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, you don't understand.
Don't wear the masks. Yeah, because he does escape. Yeah, and there's that little montage. But the thing is that these these adverts, if it's saying like 9 o'clock, the one thing about America is that it's obviously like, is it, they've got like Pacific Coast time and I don't know, whatever the other one is, like New York time and all this stuff. It's not like, is it the same hour across, or are we just seeing 9 o'clock because that's the adverts we're seeing in this one place?
A minor detail.
Is it?
No. But yes, there's no escaping this.
Because I didn't think until that montage
plot hole.
Yeah, until that montage, I didn't think it was across the United States. I thought it was in whatever area we're in, like it was a local advert. Not that this was a nationwide advertising campaign with these shitty jingles. But obviously it was. But yeah, but before that, he gets captured and here's the evil plan, and he gets given a mask and a TV set. But then I thought this is stupid because he's like on some like roller thing. And he just rolls forward and kicks a TV, and then there's like a knife or something there, and he gets out. And it's like, how did he escape? Very easily.
Just to roll back there for the listeners, he's at this point, now that the fiendish scheme's been divulged, they just literally put him on a chair, which is like a desk chair, with one of these things on his head. So it's kind of like, okay, he will die as well when the jingle plays. But yeah, he manages just to...
It's like a roller thing, isn't it? It's like what they put boxes on.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Anyway, it's very poorly done. He very easily manages to free himself. He quite deftly manages to throw his mask so that it covers up the CCTV camera and then escapes through a vent.
Yeah. Yes, but one other thing. Whilst you're on it, I was thinking this whole time, why is Cochrane even bothering explaining it to this guy? Like, why even bother explaining it? Like, even this guy's fucking no one. It's not like he's like the big hero. It's like, as far as he's concerned, he's just some guy that's just wandered in. Oh, and they show the girl, we should say. It's like, oh, you want to know if the girl was okay? Here she is. And she's like lying on a bed or something like that. He's like, oh no, I've got to go find her. But yeah, he gets out and then he's kind of going across and they're now trying to look for him. And that's when he's like, tell the kids to take off the mask. What happens next?
Well, he rescues the girl. And then basically, this is genius. They managed to get up above the computer station that looks so cheap that you said, where all these guys are working.
Before they do that, he sneaks in, pushes some buttons on a keyboard, and they're all like, "Huh?" Yeah. And then he it's just a shot of him. There's a shot of him like sneaking off.
Yeah.
It's like everyone. Like, how has he got away with that? It's ridiculous.
12 guys haven't seen him.
It's so stupid. This massive room where there's nowhere to hide. He somehow manages to do that.
He's quite a big bloke as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
he's
not
quite a big bloke.
And then anyway, so then he gets the stuff.
He manages to do this.
So ridiculous.
So he hits the buttons and it starts playing the broadcast, but only in the factory. Just in the factory, it's playing the broadcast.
Yeah, it's doing it on their internal monitors.
Yeah. So anyone who has a mask on would be affected.
Yeah.
So, or anyone who comes into contact with the chip that is within the badge that goes on the mask. So then he goes up, gets a big box of these badges, and just sprinkles them down below on all of the people, the technicians,
and the computer stuff.
And so these things start, as we saw earlier, misfiring.
Yeah.
Because the tune's going, they're firing, bam, 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 kills all the guys, and most importantly, kills Cochrane.
Yeah. Well, there's a bit where it kind of gets Stonehenge going.
Yeah, it's glowing blue.
Yeah, and there's this weird. It's quite shit actually. The shot, but it's a weird thing of him just standing in between, like this weird circle that's evolved in the Stonehenge piece, and he just what does he do? Like explodes or something like that, or disappears.
It kind of turns to stone, or like chalk or something.
Yeah, can't remember now. But yeah, he dies. So Cochrane's like gone, but he's got a big smile on his face, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
I made that up. But yeah, I was just thinking, how the fuck did he know that was going to work? He doesn't know that it's lasers.
He's like, well done. Well done.
I don't remember that. Cool.
How does he know? Well, we knew that if the music's playing, we know what that mask does, what the badge does. I thought it was genius.
Well, we don't know what the badge does because it's all just in the mask. He doesn't know that it's like a laser thing.
Well, he knows enough. We know. So what happens here? Let me see if I can bring some science to this. Huh?
All he knows is that it turns heads to snakes. All he sees on the CCTV thing. He doesn't know it's lasers because all the electrical equipment is like blowing up, and then they're all dead or whatever.
He knew it would kill the bad guys. He knew it would kill them.
But that's what I mean. It's not been. I'm just like watching it, going, "What the fuck is he doing?" This is not the first thing I would think of. Like, quick, switch all the things on, and then drop all the things. Like, I could just imagine it, like just showering people in like pin badges, and then just going, "What the fuck is he doing? What's going on?" Just looking up. What's he doing?
Anyway. Well, thankfully that didn't happen, and the plan worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we've kind of revealed everything that's going on here. How does this work? Well, you can't think too scientifically or mechanically about this. You have to think metaphysically about what's happening here. Because it's not just a laser. That laser is imbued with the power of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Stonehenge. So what happens is, I think you're right, I think it's opening a mini gateway to evil.
Yeah.
So then basically like bugs and snakes come out of your head.
I'm now just thinking of the Spinal Tap sketch. And that is one of my funniest moments in film, I think. I've ever seen. It's that tiny Stonehenge. Oh god, I think
we had a Stonehenge set that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
When that Stonehenge is just being brought down and they're looking. Oh, it's one of the funniest. If no one's seen it, you're mad. It is the funniest moment in any film ever, and it always makes me cry with laughter. I just haven't thought about it in so long, and you just said that. I'm just picturing it. It's so fucking funny.
That is great. This is Spinal Tap, if you're not sure what we're talking about.
Yeah, one of the best comedy movies. Probably my favourite comedy movie, actually, of all time.
Yeah, possibly mine. Definitely a top 10 film for me.
Yeah, sorry, tangent. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that if David Lynch had put this in Twin Peaks, people would be like, that's amazing.
Yeah, but Twin Peaks has its own thing, though. People always say that. People always go, oh, if this was David Lynch. It's like, yeah, but that stuff is like weird and dreamlike, and there's you know what you're getting. It kind of sets the tone from the off of what you're kind of getting into. With this, it's not trying to be like abstract or dreamlike. It's like these are things. This is supposed to be set in the real world. But one thing we should say as well is that the Halloween film is in the film. So that's the big fucking film that's going on. Halloween is the Halloween film. So this is a world that exists where Halloween was a film that was released and is coming up on TV.
That was a fun touch.
So Mike Myers is in fact in this film.
Yes, that's true. In a brief scene
on a TV set,
TV commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
We should mention,
yes,
I mentioned that aesthetic of the TV at the beginning. We do constantly get, obviously, more screens because we're seeing kids watching it, but we constantly get this cutaway to like the TV screens in the shop window.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's everywhere kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's it. I think that's basically kind of like how this works. It's actually a little bit of kind of like evil portal.
Yeah, they got the supernatural thing in because they were like, otherwise people we need to have a reason for why snakes and stuff come out. So let's make it as in like it's like an evil ray in Stonehenge, and snakes are evil, so that's fine. So it just makes your head turn into evil. You become an evil head. Though I still don't understand what it's done to why with that woman it kind of fucked her face up like that.
Well, it misfired. Misfired, didn't it?
It still happened. So okay, all right, fine.
It wasn't like a pure hit. So that's why only one insect came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Pure hit. Fair enough. Okay. All right. I'm willing to put it to one side. It's weird. It's stupid, but fine.
At this point, you're kind of like, great, they've sorted it all out. But not really, because as they're kind of like leaving, she attacks him. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, the adverts are still going on the radio, and they're like, we need to get someone, we need to figure this out. The building's on fire down as well. Don't forget, the factory's burning down as they're escaping.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit like, I thought that was a bit much.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
I thought that was more implausible than the whole Stonehenge mask chip debacle.
Yeah.
Because nothing as you said, really caused a big fire that I could see.
Stonehenge did. But yeah, she attacks him, right? So let me ask you, so was she like replaced whilst at the factory, or was she always? Okay, fine, that's what it was. Okay.
Definitely.
So just to clarify, at some point when before he rescued her, well, she's dead, you can imagine now, or whatever, or wherever she is, or she's in the factory burning alive.
Yeah.
But this robot thing took her place and assisted him with killing everyone who she was employed by, who she was made by.
That's right.
Great.
She did. She definitely
makes absolute sense. She decided to kill him when there was at the worst possible moment, at the latest possible time. I'm going to wait until he successfully kills everyone, and then I'll attack him.
This crossed my mind while I was watching it, and I just decided to ignore my mind because it made no sense.
Well, exactly. It did make me jump because I definitely was not expecting it because it was weird for it to happen. And then this is the bit I was saying earlier, which is like she's like trying to scratch or crush his face or something, and he crashes a car, and then she's still trying, and he manages to get out, right? But then he sees that her arm is still attached to the door, and then as he's walking up, it's one of those things which is just so stupid if it actually happened in real life. She like just appears like to side of it. It's like, how could you not have seen her? Like, where was she hiding? You're in a field. But yeah, whatever. And then she attacks him like that, and then he kind of stabs her or whatever, and then knocks her head off, right? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, and he knocks her head off. It goes off quite quickly.
Yeah, that's right. Falls to the ground, and then you kind of seeing it whir or whatever. And then he gets back in the car, and he gets spooked by the hand, but then the hand suddenly goes for his throat, and then he's like wrestling this like hand. He's like, and I was just thinking, it's not like, what are you doing? And then he throws that down, and that's when I was thinking, oh God, there can't be anything else, can it? And then the body, if I remember, the body then gets up, and starts trying to have a go. He's like, getting throttled again. So why are you even still there? Get away, you fucking idiot! What are you doing? He just keeps getting throttled by things. So stupid. And then I think finally he kind of he sees it like with his final moments of life. I don't know what the fuck it is. And then you see like the head like looking around or whatever, which I thought was quite cool. And the body next to it.
Maybe this was quite well done initially, and then maybe they just tried to get too much mileage out of it.
It's so stupid. But yeah, then he runs to the gas shop, right? To gas station, the petrol station, as you call it in Britain.
And it's the same one that the chap Harry Grimbridge ran to at the beginning of the film, and the guy's like, "Oh, this again."
Yeah. Also, he must be like, "Doctor, like, what are you doing here?" Yeah, and then this bit, he's calling them up, right, going like, "You got to get it off, you got to turn it off." And then the car comes up with the 3 kids, or 1 kid, or a bunch of kids, can't remember, and they're like watching it, but he's like screaming, "I don't care, say it's a bomb, like say it's a bomb, whatever." And I was watching that thinking, no one would ever turn it off like that quickly. In order for it to get to someone at the police, to get to a station manager, to get to all these people, and for someone to flip a switch would take like hours, not seconds, as it is here. But
can you imagine some advertisers giving you hundreds of millions of dollars to run this advert, and you're like, "Yeah, this guy is quite a convincing argument. I think we better just flip the switch and turn it off."
Yeah, exactly.
But again, implausibility aside, it's quite good fun. He's like, and like you say, it's kind of national thing. So he's literally, it's not just like one person. And this actually, again, this is why it's implausible, because he like rings one person and they've turned it off, and then he turns the channel, and then that goes off as well. Yeah, and you're
it's quite nice the kid turning it, because then you're viewing what would actually be happening with kids all over the country, which is they'll switch on to another channel, and then they switch to another channel. So the second one, you're like, okay, cool, and then sorry, I'll let you do it.
And then they switch to the third channel, and it's still gearing up now to broadcast the advert, and he's like screaming down the phone, "Yes, still one more channel on."
Yeah, he's like, "Turn
it off."
He's saying, "Turn it off, turn it off." There's still one more channel on. I mean, he is saying that, but I like the way that's the first thing you that you said. Like kid, like he's screaming at the kid. There's still got the TV on, and that's how it ends. It's such a great ending. Yeah, I really like that ending, because I was like, did he manage to do it? Didn't he? In my head, it's like the advert was still playing and loads of kids died, and it was all a big failure.
That's what I thought. I like that it's got that dark end, and it's still ambiguous. But
bring you into it.
Did you realise, Sam, that Jamie Lee Curtis is in this film?
Only because I read somewhere that she is the phone operator.
Yes,
she's phone operator or something. Right.
Yeah. So she's in this scene, I think.
Oh no, he's speaking to a guy, isn't he?
Oh, she must be.
I think she would have been in the earlier ones.
She's the curfew announcer as well.
Oh, okay,
like, go back to your homes.
It is now 10 o'clock or whatever. Yeah.
So that was nice.
Nice little cameo.
So what do you make of all this? Obviously, it's quite a muddle of ideas. One thing that comes through quite strongly, a lot of people make a point about, is condemnation of corporate America.
Oh yeah,
and
that's pretty fucking obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, and specifically kind of using media to control children and make them buy crap.
Well, there's that whole thing of like the scare of like subliminal messages and all this. And essentially that's what advertising is. It's tapping into your subconscious to make you want to go out and buy stuff. And the fact that it's like the visuals are shit, obviously, but the catchy jingle and all this, and it's all supposed to be quite innocent when actually it's horrific in its own right. Consumerism, as you said, corporate America, and all this stuff. That's all pretty. Where's it pretty? It's the heart on its sleeve with that.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it, and I was kind of thinking, like, in terms of what does it mean? But I was like, I don't think it really means anything apart from that. Like, I was thinking, how does it reflect, like, maybe what's going through with the hero? And I think that's why the hero falls a bit flat, because he doesn't, beginning to end, nothing changes apart from the fact that he shagged this girl. Like, there's nothing. I was thinking, is it going to like reflect his relationship with his children or something like that? And is it going to be like a personal thing at the end where he has to save his kids, or stop them wearing the mask, or he has to go somewhere and turn off the station? So it's like, does he sacrifice the possibility of not being able to save his own kids to save all the kids? You know what I mean? Like something. Would it come down to that, where it's about the hero? But no, none of that.
I think
it's
you're
just
right.
There's no arc or anything like that.
It lacks depth in that way. I think there's a lot of really cool ideas in this film, and I think there's a lot of cool visuals and quirks about it. It could have just. I think someone could take this concept and refine it, make a better script, and execute it better. But despite its flaws, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this film.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I mean, it's old hat a little bit, but the corporate villain, but also like it's like the ringleader at a creepy circus or something like that. Like having a big bad that's all like charming, and all this, and like people actually love, but really he's like an evil dick inside it all.
Yeah,
I like that aspect of it. But that's kind of it. Like he's like. He's like wondarium of wonders or whatever. Like all these like, but it's like, it doesn't really elaborate more on that. Like there's not really much of a personal connection apart from people say he likes to make toys and practical jokes. It's like, I don't get anything from that from him at all, because he just seems like a corporate guy. If it was like, there's that little bit where he's like, oh, as you said, this is a Victorian thing, but it's like, it didn't feel like an obsession to him. And I've still no real idea what he's actually trying to do. Okay, he's trying to bring about this Samhain demon, but like, why is he like a, it's because he says, oh, it's about, as you said, like the real Halloween. There's just no real like motive. And it's everything he's done like led up to this point. Why practical jokes? Why is he doing like? Why has he done it through this way? Like, because he looks like a pretty serious guy. So the idea is that he's still this like creative mechanical genius who's like godlike in some ways, the way he can just make a life. It didn't explore any of that. It was just like, here's some creepy people who are made by a creepy toy maker, basically. Who's this guy?
They need to do an Origins film for him. Of him as like an 8-year-old back in Ireland tinkering with some.
Well, that's what they did in the fucking Tim Burton Charlie Chocolate Factory, didn't they? It's like they gave him loads of backstory. They don't have to do that. Just more like, just have a scene or something where maybe he's by himself, or he's like tinkering with one of the things or whatever, and he feels like some kind of connection to him, or I don't know, like anything. There just wasn't any of that. And as I said, like the hero doesn't have an arc. The heroine, like Ellie or whatever her name is, doesn't have an arc either, and she's fucking dead, basically. Doesn't even get heard of by the end of it. So
I think that's the biggest flaw, is that these characters are superficial, and we're sort of told things about them in a confusing way, but like you say, we don't really see.
No,
we're not shown why things are happening, or why these people have these motivations. So it's hard to kind of make it feel like they're real, or that they matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole like Deus Ex Machina thing or whatever, of like,
Stonehenge.
These things just have to happen just to tell the story. Like, it doesn't make sense in its own right.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was like,
if you like a confusing madcap muddle of a film, if you can divorce yourself from the fact that it's a Halloween film as well, like I said, maybe just go in thinking of it as Season of the Witch rather than Halloween 3. Expect something a bit more low budget, a bit more wacky B-movie kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I think get some popcorn, you have a good time.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I did, I wasn't bored. It was just a bit stupid. I mean, like, okay, I think what I would have done, maybe we should make a little segment like what Sam would have done, but like have it that it starts with her turning up in this weird town and it's just her. Forget the bloke. She's the heroine. She's the main person. Have her turn up to this town. She's looking for a dad, right? And she's kind of settling into this kind of Lynch-like happy town, but it's all a bit creepy. At the head of it all is Cochrane. Yeah. And then you have this weird, like, he's like a father figure also to like her, strangely. So even though she's trying to find her dad, he's becoming this kind of father figure and she seems to like resonate. And like, you know, she gets pulled almost like towards him. And, you know, he's still with his toy maker and he's like a very happy person giving out these masks. And they kind of do that a little bit, but you can really kind of go more like OTT about it. And I think having him as like not just a suit, but like, you know, he wears like a cardigan instead of like a blazer jacket or whatever. Like he's trying to still be like, you know, the good old fashioned, you know, I'm not like a corporate dick or whatever. And then you can kind of lose that stereotype a little bit. Forget the whole Stonehenge thing and just have it that these things are in the masks and they just like melt your fucking head or something like that. Something crazy rather than turning it into snake. Like you don't need that. And you can still make it like horrible and weird and gory. You don't need it like bugs and supernatural stuff. And the fact is that like, I don't know, like you find out like he had a family and his grandkids or something like that. Maybe his grandson is Michael Myers. That's gone too much. That's gone too far. And that's why he hates kids. But, or you just do that, you know, he's got some kind of personal reason why, like Halloween was maybe when his whole family got slaughtered and it was by some like some kid being an idiot or something like that. I don't know, whatever that might be. And like, you know, you hear stories about like a 12-year-old drives his dad's car and drives it for like 40 minutes or whatever around town. I have it something like that, but he's killed this guy's like entire family. So now he just hates children and he hates like badly behaved children more than anything. So yeah, and now that's why he's going to kill them all. But she, you know, she's trying to find that father figure, but he's actually like, he looks perfect, but it's actually not what she wants. Who she wants is her real dad, who might not look as perfect, but his heart is true. And that's who she kind of strains forward. So she's like, you're nothing like my dad. And she kills him and he dies or whatever. But she can't stop the whole thing in time and all the children die across that one state rather than across America, because that's just ridiculous. Something like that. And you can still have all the creepy robots. You can have all that creepiness to it and make it a bit weird. And it becomes like this slightly, you know, like The Prisoner, almost like, you know, this weird kind of town. And yeah, Twin Peaksy. Still do that.
A bit Wickerman-y
with all the shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think that sounds excellent. And I don't know why people are obsessed with remaking Halloween when someone could do a really good Halloween 3 remake along those lines.
Certainly. I will
Sadly
await
overlooked.
someone's call. And I'm happy to make it. I've been a director before. I'll do it. Hit me up. I just need, how much was the budget on this?
$2.5 million. It's nothing these days.
I'll do it for $2 million. Exactly. That was back then. Think about how much that would be now. I will do it for $2 million of today's monies and I'll make it good.
John C., if you're listening, we've laid down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what we thought of Halloween 3. What are other people saying about it on the internet? Let's go to reviews.
I hate it.
Mr. Op-Ed gave this 1 out of 10. makes me physically ill decades later.
Jesus.
I'm not a Halloween nut, as I'd never seen the previous versions. I had no preconceived notions. H3 would have to stand on its own, and fall flat it did. The movie opens with a well-done chase, murder and suicide of the killer. It's downhill from there. The truly revolting deaths of the people who don the masks is only matched by the truly revolting sight of puffy, middle-aged Tom Atkins and barely 18 pretty Stacey Nelkin getting it on.
True. It's true. It is weird. It is weird. They are like a dad-daughter. I mean, I think they're trying to make him younger than he is. He's got two very young kids, but
great.
They're not a couple.
Carpenter's music is metronomically irritating throughout. Dan O'Herlihy has fun as the campy villain, but what goes on around him is so unfun that it cancels him out.
I don't know, it looked pretty fun.
And that ending, please, definitely not for children or even young teens. Actually,
why are you children watching anyway?
It should be rated A. Not suitable for anyone.
Oh, see what he's done there. Only for assholes. Okay.
I mean,
didn't like it.
Yeah. Most people are just complaining, that it's not Michael Myers.
Yeah. Well, good point. It's a Halloween film. It's not a Halloween film.
Seemed to be the main kind of thrust of the contemporary criticism as well. People could not get over the fact that it was such a different film.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if you're like, I'm going to go watch the next Halloween, and Michael Myers isn't even in it, and maybe you've not seen the trailer, you'd probably be like, what the fuck? And that'd be all right if it was good, but I would say it's not that good. It's okay. I mean, we've seen a lot worse.
I'm trying to look for a good one, but there's plenty of people who are raving. Like you said, it's become a real cult classic. It's really divisive. So let's just say Zach Gideon, 10 out of 10. All the haters are wrong. Are people this stupid? This is way ahead of its time. Carpenter is all over it. He created the score and definitely was coaching the director. So many morons don't understand a good film. This is part of the Carpenter world. I love this film. Can watch it every year and enjoy it. It's underappreciated and needs some recognition. Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the directing was that great. I mean, there's that one long shot where he's explaining it all, and I'm just like, you could do more here. Like, cut away or like go to a different shot and speed this up. I don't know why this is taking so long. And he kind of lingers on shots a little longer than he needs to. Like when he's running off to get, like, to look in the book or whatever. Like that shot is like 4 seconds or something, which might not sound a lot, but it's like you only need like a second or something like that. There's just a few of these where I'm just like, just go, like, why are you holding on to this shot for so long? It doesn't feel snappy enough sometimes, where it's like it could be much snappier. And that's those little seconds and half seconds here and there, which can really make it like a lot tighter. I don't know.
I've got a good one here. This movie is good. 10 out of 10.
Right. Wow.
Yes, it departs from the Myers saga, but this film has a great...
Sorry, just ridiculous. Yeah, sorry.
This film has a great evil plot. People hated this because they wanted to see Michael Myers. Well, quite frankly, it didn't need Michael Myers. Tom Atkins gave the film a huge boost. His performance was really awesome, and this film was really cool.
Yeah, but it's like, no one goes to see Mike Myers, and I'm talking about not the actor here, the character, for his acting. It's just a fucking mask. It's like saying, like, oh, there's a fucking plank of wood in this shot, and Tom Atkins is just as good as that plank of wood. So, yeah.
You know how they could have...
Comparison.
You know how they could have tied this film in with the original? You know, we were saying in the last episode when we were talking about Halloween. I was like, is there some supernatural force that's somehow guiding Michael Myers, or somehow kind of facilitating his spree?
He's got a Silver Shamrock sign in the back of the fucking mask. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, it's like maybe this could have been the tie-in that this is the result of one of his other attempts at some weird opening of a portal, raising of the dead spirits.
It would ruin the character of Michael Myers. It would absolutely ruin the entire Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would tie it in. Oh, look, no, he wasn't a deranged human killer. He was just a lackey of Stonehenge. Yeah.
Should we have a little tiny dip into Nerd Corner and talk about some vinyl? So yeah, the soundtrack, like we said, John Carpenter and Alan Howarth, did come out in 1982 with the film poster artwork on the cover, which I think is awesome. It's a lovely looking thing. And I think what we've got here, 7 tracks on side A, 5 on side B. Later down the line, like with all the soundtracks we look at, it gets expanded because people are completist maniacs. So you end up with all kinds of manner of little incidental pieces. But yeah, 2012 was the first sort of reissue on Death Waltz. And I really like the cover here because they've gone for something a bit more subtle, I think. They've gone for that opening image of the warped TV screen.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's quite abstract. It's just like TV bars and like a weird acidy kind of like psychedelic wash of blue and red.
Nice.
And that was on various nice kind of colours, lots of orange and black and blood splatters and things. The more recent one, Death Waltz, again put it out in 2018, and they just put it out apparently this year, the same edition, which has got this kind of cool pumpkin cover with all these bugs coming out of the pumpkin, and it kind of like it opens up like a kind of like 1950s or 1960s kind of like Halloween novelty thing, like you'd see advertised in the back of a comic.
Yeah,
so it's got that really cool retro kind of artwork. And it comes with these like playing cards, which are advertised as some kind of like mind trick card game. So it's a really nice package, looks really cool. Seems to go for sort of like 30 to 50 quid.
Okay, I think you can still get it, if I remember rightly, maybe not.
Yeah, like I said, they just put one out this year. So originally it was 2018, that edition. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Death Waltz still have copies maybe directly for sale.
Yeah.
It's got a really cool thing on the front. Record plus novelty, suitable for children of all ages. And it's got the Silver Shamrock logo there. Shock and amaze your friends. Spooky mind control.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, 1, 2, I think, like I said, it's kind of like quite like ambient, drony kind of soundtrack. So it's quite cool if you're into that whole side of things. Stick it on in the background.
Yeah, I'll have a listen. I haven't listened to it independently. But if you like it, then why not?
And it's on Spotify as well, if you're not such a big nerd. Anyway, that is all from Nerd's Corner, and I think that's all from us for the whole episode.
Yeah, I think we've done it to death now. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. And shall I play a little tune to hear us out?
Please do.
Goodbye, everyone.
Stop the broadcast. Stop it. Stop it.
Happy, happy